Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Jaya Rama Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Om Vishnupad Paramas Parivrajikacharya Stottar Sata Sri Srimad Abhay Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Grandhara Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki Samasta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Nitāya Gaur Premanande Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevāya Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevāya Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevāya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama-shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Hare Krishna. I welcome all of you for today's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class. So today we are going to discuss Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, second canto, chapter number 8, and in this, sloka number 25. 25th sloka we will be discussing today. So please repeat after me. Atra pramāṇaṁ hi bhavān parameṣṭhī yathātma-bhūḥ apare cānutiṣṭhanti pūrveṣām pūrva-jaiḥ kṛtam atra pramāṇaṁ hi bhavān parameṣṭhī yathātma-bhūḥ apare cānutiṣṭhanti pūrveṣāṁ pūrva-jaiḥ kṛtam atra pramāṇaṁ hi bhavān parameṣṭhī yathātma-bhūḥ apare cānutiṣṭhanti pūrveṣāṁ pūrva-jaiḥ kṛtam. Mataji. What word meaning? Atra, in this matter, pramāṇaṁ, evidential facts. He, certainly, bhavān, yourself, parameṣṭhī, Brahmā, the creator of the universe, yathā, as ātma-bhūḥ, born directly from the Lord, apare, others, cha, only, anutiṣṭhanti, just to follow, pūrveṣāṁ, as a matter of custom, pūrva-jaiḥ, knowledge suggested by a previous philosopher, kṛtam, having been done. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O great sage, you are as good as Brahma, the original living being. Others follow custom only, as followed by the previous philosophical speculators. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. It may be argued that Śukadeva Gosvāmī is not the only authority of perfect knowledge in transcendence, because there are many other sages and their followers. Contemporary to Vyāsadeva, or even prior to him, there were many other great sages such as Gautama, Kanada, Jaimini, Kapila and Aṣṭāvakra. And all of them have presented a philosophical path by themselves. Patanjali is also one of them, and all these 6 great rishis have their own way of thinking, exactly like the modern philosophers and mental speculators. The difference between the 6 philosophical paths put forward by the renowned sages above mentioned and that of Śukadeva Gosvāmī as presented in the Srimad-Bhāgavatam is that all the 6 sages mentioned above speak the facts according to their own thinking, but Śukadeva Gosvāmī presents the knowledge which comes down directly from Brahmāji, who is known as ātma-bhūḥ, or born of and educated by Almighty Personality of Godhead. Vedic transcendental knowledge descends directly from the personality of Godhead. By His mercy, Brahmā, the first living being in the universe, was enlightened, and from Brahmāji, Narada was enlightened, and from Narada, Vyasa was enlightened. Śukadeva Gosvāmī received such a transcendental knowledge directly from his father, Vyāsadeva. Thus, the knowledge being received from the chain of disciplic succession is perfect. One cannot be a spiritual master in perfection unless and until one has received the same by disciplic succession. That is the secret of receiving transcendental knowledge. The 6 great sages mentioned above may be the great thinkers, but their knowledge by mental speculation is not perfect. However, perfect and empiric philosopher may be in presenting a philosophical thesis. Such a knowledge is never perfect because it is produced by an imperfect mind. Such great sages also have their disciplic successions, but they are not authorized because such knowledge doesn't come directly from the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. No one can be independent except Narayana. Therefore, no one's knowledge can be perfect. For everyone's knowledge is dependent on the flickering mind. Mind is material, and thus knowledge presented by material speculators is never transcendental and can never become perfect. Mundane philosophers, being imperfect in themselves, disagree with other philosophers because a mundane philosopher is not a philosopher at all unless he presents his own theory. So intelligent persons like Maharaj Parikshita don't recognize such a material speculators, however great they may be, but hear from authorities like Śukadeva Gosvāmī, who is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the parampara system, as is specifically stressed in Bhagavad Gita. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swatantigam Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. It's a very known knowledge for all of us. This sloka is telling from day one, whenever we connected to our Krishna conscious movement. So they are connected because the knowledge whatever is received in this parampara. So in this moment actually we are receiving from the Guru parampara actually. And the same thing is we are seeing here. So since knowledge is received from the Guru parampara, so that's why it is authentic. It's not the speculated by anyone actually, by their mental speculation. Okay. Very nice. So, what is knowledge? What is knowledge? Yes? Seeing things in a right perspective is a knowledge. Seeing, only seeing, not hearing. What it means? Seeing the knowledge in right perspective. What is the use of knowledge? Why we earn knowledge? What is the use of the knowledge? Yes?
To drive away ignorance.
To drive away the ignorance. Not only driving away the ignorance, but yes, ma'am. To connect with the Krishna. Yes. But the general definition of the knowledge is sarva vyavahara hetuhu gnanam. Sarva vyavahara hetuhu. That means, if you want to deal anything in this material world, that means laukika, that means in this world or also beyond this world. If you want to deal with the objects, what you need? You need the knowledge. Yes? If I say, go to that next street, so you should know what is the meaning of street. You should know what is the meaning of going. Yes? So, all these we need for every, that means object has to be defined in this universe. And also every action also should be given some name. That means there is a name and also there is object. So, this kind of knowledge, that means objects and they should be having the name and we should know this thing actually. So, otherwise, like if an animal, if you say, go to the next street. If you say this sentence, will it go? It cannot go. It doesn't know the meanings of, that means objects, what is the street and what is this and what is that. So that's why sarva vyavahara hetuhu gnanam. If you want to deal anything spiritual or material, you need knowledge. But this knowledge is also two types. One is the right knowledge, yathārtha-gnānam. Another is ayathartha-gnānam. You will be getting the knowledge from the many sources that may be right and that may not be right. So that's why knowledge is two types. Yathārtha-gnānam means, so seeing the object as it is, getting the about that object as it is, then that is known as yathārtha-gnānam. Like now if you have in your hand karatal and seeing this karatal as it is as a karatal, then it is known as this object is karatal. If you know this like this, then that knowledge is right knowledge. But if I heard this karatal as plate, so someone said this object is plate, then that knowledge is right knowledge. That's not the right knowledge. That's not right knowledge. So that's why we have knowledge. So the right one and also wrong one. So what are the means to get the knowledge in this whole universe? What are the different means to get this knowledge? Yes, Mataji. Can you take mic? Not working? We acquire knowledge from the senses. That's one mean. What else? Yeah, dadami buddhi yogam. That means when you reach the stage of the prema, then Lord will give the experience about Himself to you. The dadami buddhi yogam means that actually there. So Vishwanath says, so buddhi yogam there means what? So dadami buddhi yogam means He is giving the experience about the, so about the, like you see, you can feel this object now by touching and also by seeing, you are getting the experience about this object or not. Similarly, if you want to get the knowledge about the Lord, that means when you reach the stage of the prema, that means in the purified, completely purified stage, there you will be experiencing the Lord. So that is given by the Lord Himself. So that is also knowledge. That means you will get the experiential knowledge actually. But what are the means actually? That is Lord is giving. That means He is making our senses to perceive Him directly. That is also pratyaksha only. That's a vaidusha pratyaksham. That means when the senses are perfected, then we are getting the knowledge. So pratyaksha, that means now you are also seeing the objects. So this pratyaksham is different. When the senses are completely purified, then also we will be getting the knowledge, and that knowledge is different. So this is avaidusha pratyaksham, imperfect senses in the conditioned state. And when you get the knowledge through the senses, when they are purified, then that knowledge is known as vaidusha pratyaksham. But these are all only one mean, that is pratyaksham only. That's a perception. What are the different means we gain the knowledge? Yeah. Through the Shastra. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So what it means actually? So it means verbal cognition. That means we are getting the knowledge from the hearing actually. From the words we hear some sound vibrations, and then we are getting the knowledge from those words. That's known as sabda pramāṇaṁ. And what is one more mean? Yes, Prabhu. Huh? What it mean? Yeah, Mike.
Speculating.
Speculating.
Or it's just imagination kind of thing.
It's not. Imagination is different. Huh? What is that, Mataji? Okay, hypothesis. Yes. What it mean? Can you explain? What is done in there?
It means that you make a premise, which is also a speculative premise, and then you hypothesize from that. It could be like this, it could be like that, it may be like this, maybe like that.
It is inference actually, inferential knowledge. So you have the first initially some knowledge about some things. Like example, you go to the kitchen, not the modern kitchen, old traditional kitchen you go. In the traditional kitchens, you will be seeing our stove is, that means we are getting the fire from the firewood. So when you lit, that means when you put a fire on the firewood, you will be getting the first what? Smoke. Yes? From the smoke, so wherever that means we see smoke, there we will be finding the what? Fire. Yes? This relationship, so by using your pratyaksha, that means using your senses, you are getting the what? So relationship between the two objects in this nature. What are these two objects here? One is the smoke, another is fire. So you are seeing these objects in this nature, and from that you are observing and you are making a rule. What is that rule? Yatra yatra dhumaha tatra tatra vahini. That means wherever there is a fire, wherever there is a smoke, there is a fire. Can you say wherever there is a fire, there can be a smoke? No, because it will be failed. Because if you see in your kitchen, you will be seeing the fire, but is there any smoke? No smoke. That means reverse you cannot make. Wherever there is a fire, there can be a smoke you cannot make. But you can make wherever there is a fire, there smoke you cannot make. But wherever there is a smoke, there is fire you can make. That means without fire you cannot find this universe the possible. That means existence of smoke. So that means from your observation, you found a concrete rule. That means wherever there is a smoke, there is a fire. So then one day you went to a hill, near to a hill, and on the top of the hill you are seeing the smoke is coming out. Then by seeing that smoke, what you will be saying, what you will be concluding, you will be remembering that. So, oh, I saw in the kitchen, wherever there is a smoke, there should be a fire. Now I am seeing the smoke on the top of the hill, that means there is fire. So, are you seeing fire with the eyes on the top of the hill? No. That means, but still you are getting the knowledge, on the top of the hill there is fire. So, this is the knowledge. So, that means on the top of the hill there is a fire. This is the knowledge. How you are getting this knowledge? You are getting this knowledge through the process. This is the process. This is known as anumana pramāṇa. This is known as inference. By inferring that means exist. This is maybe right and sometimes it may be wrong also. So, that means if you get the wrong knowledge, that means wrong fundamental rules if you get, then based upon that if you infer something, then that will also go to the wrong. So that's why we have majorly three means: pratyaksha, anumana and shabda. So shabda pramāṇa means you are hearing from the someone and getting the knowledge, but you are not seeing that object, or you are not touching, you are not perceiving that object. Someone said that, so in front of, that means there is a snow in the Himalayas. Someone said to you, but you didn't see the Himalayas, you didn't see the snow, but you heard this sentence, and after hearing this, you got the knowledge that, oh, there is a snow in Himalayas. So this knowledge is known as shabda pramāṇa. That means through the verbal cognition you got the knowledge. So out of these three, what is the best one actually? We say pratyaksha, anumana and shabda. So we say many times shabda pramāṇa is, we say right, not many times, we say always. So shabda pramāṇa is the authentic and remaining two are the imperfect. So why the two are the imperfect, pratyaksha and anumana? Pratyaksha is imperfect because you are using the what? Senses. So now you are seeing this clock and through your eyes, and you are saying this object is a clock. So what is the mean here to get this knowledge? Eyes are the means. So, but these eyes and are the five senses. We have how many senses? 6 senses actually, including the mind. To totally 6 senses we have. These 6 senses are the cause for the getting the knowledge. So in these 6 senses there is a problem is there. What is that problem? When you are in the mode of passion or ignorance, at the time what will happen? These 6 senses also will be influenced by those modes. So by the passion and ignorance, our senses will be influenced, and then because of that influence of the passion or ignorance, you will be finding the knowledge as wrong. You will be getting the wrong knowledge. You will be seeing the mirage and thinking that there is a water, and you will be seeing that there is a some seashell and thinking it is a silver, and you are seeing something like some pole in the darkness and thinking that there is a human being is standing. So these are all what? So because of the what? Because of the passion and ignorance, senses are being influenced. Because of that, so conditioning, because of that influence of the passion and ignorance, our senses are producing the wrong knowledge. So that's why pratyaksha pramāṇa will be wrong when you are in the influence of modes. But when you are beyond the modes, when your senses are going beyond the modes, then what will happen? Is there any, then there is no influence of modes, that means there is no cause of the illusion, and then in that case, then what will happen? You will be getting all the time perfect knowledge. So that's why in pratyaksha, vaidusha pratyaksham is always perfect, because their senses are always beyond the modes, beyond the conditioning. But when in avaidusha pratyaksham, in our case, so we are always, that means influenced by these modes, so that's why we are getting the wrong knowledge also sometimes. So this is the pratyaksha pramāṇa, goes to sometimes right and sometimes wrong. And based upon this pratyaksha pramāṇa only, the next one is dependent. What is that? Anumana pramāṇa. Because the input for the anumana pramāṇa is coming from where? From the pratyaksha only. Because in the kitchen you are seeing that the relationship between the fire and the smoke, and then after that you made a rule, and based upon that rule, so you are inferring that on the top of the hill there is a fire. So in that case, if you, so you are using the directly what? That means the knowledge which is produced from the senses, which can be wrong. So that's why, because you are using that knowledge for your inference, so that's why anumana pramana also will go wrong. Sometimes, definitely. Not every time, but sometimes. Then what about the Shabda Pramana? Shabda Pramana is right? Shabda Pramana also is not right. We think that Shabda Pramana is right. No. Shabda Pramana means what? Can anyone explain what is Shabda Pramana? Yes.
My understanding, it's knowledge coming from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra.
So
coming from a higher source.
That is a part of the, actually, that's the one aspect, that's all. But Shabda Pramana means, so verbal cognition. That means you are hearing from the words, and you are recalling the meanings of that words, and then after that you are connecting the meanings those in a systematic way. Then after that you are getting the knowledge. If someone say to someone X, some boy is there, that little boy didn't see anything, that means in his life about a tiger. So then that boy is being explained by some elder person. So tiger is this is the animal, that is having the long teeth and ferocious face it is having, and so on. So then that boy is, by hearing this description, he came to know what is tiger. Similarly, one boy is there, so he didn't visit the Himalayas, and someone told to him, Himalayas is a big mountain and there the full of snow. So then by hearing these sentences, this boy is getting the knowledge about the object Himalayas. So then this knowledge is, how this knowledge is produced? Is it produced from the pratyaksha? No. Is it produced from the anumana? No. Then how it is produced? It is produced from the Shabda Pramana actually. So here this sentence, that means Himalayas are full of snow. This sentence is the Shabda Pramana actually. By this sentence only this boy is getting the knowledge. Okay? But to get the knowledge, what is the process? First we hear the words, then after that hearing words is sufficient? No. What is needed next? Meanings of the words should be known to us. So knowing the meanings of the words is sufficient? Is it sufficient? No. What else we need? Realization? No, not realization. Yeah, comprehension. That means anvaya. Connection. We should know, we should do the connection between the meanings. You should know how to connect those meanings. So otherwise you will be not getting the knowledge. So properly we should connect the meanings. Then after that you will be getting the knowledge. Himalayas are full of snow. That means that boy should know what is the meaning of Himalayas. That boy should know what is the meaning of are. Himalayas are full of, what is it? He should know meaning of the word full of, and also he should be know the meaning of snow. So all these words meanings if he knows, then only he will get the knowledge that Himalayas are full of snow. If someone speak in another language which you doesn't know anything, and you are hearing the words, and are you getting the knowledge from that? No, because you don't know meanings, and also you don't know how to do anvaya. So that's why to get the verbal cognition from the Shabda Pramana means only the sentence. You should always remember, Shabda Pramana is the sentence, is a group of the words, and this is a Shabda Pramana, and from that the process of getting the knowledge is, first of all you should hear, hearing should be done, then after that words meanings has to be recalled, then after that connecting of those meanings has to be done, then finally you will be getting the knowledge. This is the process how you get the knowledge from this Shabda Pramana. So Shabda Pramana we understood, that means like one scientist did research and he made some document, and that means some theory he made. And next scientist is coming to know about that knowledge. So through which process he is coming to know? Shabda pramana or not? So that's why it's a Shabda pramana. So, and someone, that means, but this Shabda pramana is right? This Shabda pramana gives always correct knowledge? Yes? No. No. This Shabda pramana will not give the always right knowledge. Because the source of the knowledge, the scientist produced some knowledge, and what is the source for him? The source is previous scientist, the knowledge which is given by previous scientist, and also he is using his pratyaksha and anumana. So, can you guarantee that the previous scientist, whatever knowledge he gave, that is a perfect? No, because he is also getting the knowledge from the another previous scientist, and like that, what is the beginning of their knowledge? The beginning of their knowledge is pratyaksha and anumana, and that knowledge is coming in the form of disciplic succession. From one scientist to another scientist is coming, means it is what? It is disciplic succession. So that's why knowledge is coming from the disciplic succession. So can this knowledge will be the perfect? No, because the origin of this knowledge is the imperfect source, that is the pratyaksha and also anumana. So that's why modern scientists also, they use three pramanas: pratyaksha, anumana and shabda. And we are also using some pratyaksha, anumana and shabda. But what is the difference between our shabda and their shabda? That is the point actually. So that's why shabda pramana, that means where we can rely. So can we rely the scientist, whatever the sentences they are making, and can we get that, can we rely on those sentences? Can we rely on that? No, because those sentences are not perfect. So that's why we should go for the perfect knowledge actually. So that is the perfect origin we want. What is that origin then? That is the Vedas. So Vedas are the perfect knowledge. But how can you say, why I have to trust on the Vedas? Maybe it is also imperfect. Yes? Apurusha, who said that? No. Apurusha is also said by someone. How can I rely on that? How can I rely on that? Why I have to believe? That is Vedas Apurusha.
Directly spoken by the Lord.
But I don't know Lord. I am knowing the Lord also from sentence only. Why I have to believe Guru and Sadhu?
Knowledge. So that's what we are relying on that. Like if somebody gives us mobile and says that okay, these all things are happening with this, and we work on that, and yeah, definitely it's working. So we feel that yes, it's like working correct. So like that, if the source, we may be not knowing the source from where it's coming, like apare or something. But when it's coming like in different time intervals, we are experiencing that yes, this is correct. So we have believed that okay, this is correct.
So that means we are getting some experience. That means whatever we are hearing. So that's why we are experiencing. That means like Shabda Pramana, Vedas, you are finding the knowledge, and that is becoming, that is you are experiencing as a right. So that's why you should believe in Vedas. Like that you are saying? So through experience. So even scientists also, they are giving Shabda Pramana, we are experiencing, this fan is there, this is there, everything is there. We are also experiencing. And we should accept their knowledge is perfect. We are also experiencing that.
The knowledge in the Vedas, one, it's perceivable, and also by experiment it's experienceable. Second, it also has never changed, whereas the scientific knowledge keeps changing.
Okay.
This is what my understanding is, that it has not changed in its appeal and also experience.
Okay, but you are saying this is not changed, they will also say yes. So ultimately we are also saying, like example, so they made some laws, they are all also not being changed. So that means whatever is not changed, you will also accept this is also perfect.
If it is there in the Shastra.
And then you are saying, then you will say, if it is approved by our scientific process, then I will accept your waiver. Then how can you bring the ultimate faith only on the Shastra? Yes, Vedas. Vedas are like mother, and so we are coming to know about the father.
And also, I've heard.
But who is saying this? Vedas only saying. Vedas is saying, I am the mother. Then you are accepting. I am asking why you have to accept Vedas. No? You want to try? Okay, we are very less time here. It's a big discussion. It's a 10 sessions discussion actually, but anyway I opened here.
So we come to know from people who have perfected their lives.
But how to accept he is a perfect? What are the symptoms? I am getting those symptoms also from the Veda. Ultimately I am relying on that. But I am asking why I have to accept that. Yeah.
Because the pure devotee himself is giving this knowledge, and because he is coming in the disciplic succession, we accept this, that these are the words of Krishna. The Vedas are emanations, the breathings of the Lord. So we accept the word of the pure devotee.
But this is also said by Veda, na? Pure devotee concept, from where it came? It came from the Bhagavatam. This is a Shastra. But I am asking why I have to believe in that.
Why you won't believe in that?
That's the point I am asking. Then they will also say, why don't you believe? Scientists also say like that.
So what is the question?
Question is simple. Why we have to believe in Vedas?
Why we have to believe in Vedas?
Yes. Okay, Prabhu.
Because the Vedas establish the supreme position of the Lord.
My point is core point, Prabhu. So, Lord, we are all getting this knowledge from the Vedas. Fundamental point is why we have to believe in Vedas. You should go with the elimination process. Then only you will get answer. Okay, I gave the hint. Yes.
Like, Guruji, like the way there are axioms in the science we accept. There are always some axioms which are made before the experiment and they are accepted. And then the result is seen. So they are accepted like that. So in the beginning, if we see the Vedas, even though we are not fully able to see, then in one way it has to be accepted in axioms. But the knowledge which is given, it is across the times. Like in simple example, like predictions which are made.
That means to prove Vedas, you use the experience. That means gradually you will feel, then only you will accept it. That people say initially, okay, so I have no faith. So then, but how can you establish concretely actually? You are saying that, okay, you take it and if you feel it, then only you accept, otherwise don't. But whatever our feeling is also useless. But means our feeling has to establish Vedas. That means Vedas are dependent on our feelings. That means they are dependent, that means they are becoming not independent. Swataha Siddha, they are not becoming the self-evident. The self-evident property is lost.
Prabhu, like Mataji said.
Prabhu is okay, that backside.
You know, like Mataji said, if you want to know your father, ask your mother, right? So, so then the Vedas, they are like the mother, and the Supreme Lord is saying that, you know, this is your mother, right?
But then so, Supreme Lord is saying this is the mother, and mother is saying he is the Supreme Lord. That is interdependence, a lock is there. You are understanding my point? So that means Supreme Lord is said by Vedas. Otherwise tomorrow one more person, I will also become, I am Supreme Lord and I am saying this scripture is the Shastra and you should accept.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Okay, Prabhu.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, actually Prabhupada explains in one of the Sri Sukna's introduction, I think, that Vedic knowledge is free from 4 defects: imperfect senses, cheating, and
illusion and one more. That's why we accept. Then Prabhupada gave example of cow dung and conch and all those things.
Actually, okay, anyway, so let me come to the right answer. So, thank you very much for all of you for contributing by giving the various answers. So, we have to go with our acharyas, Prabhupada also said, and the systematic presentation you can see in the Tattva Sandarbha, in the beginning of the Tattva Sandarbha. So, the pramanas, total in this whole universe, come through the elimination process. In this universe, total how many pramanas are there? There are only 10 pramanas are there. 10 pramanas. Pratyaksha, Anumana, so Shabda, Upamana, Aitihya, Arsha, Sambhava, next Abhava, Ardhapati, like this, Anupalabdhi, like this, total 10 pramanas are there. That means, in this universe, anyone is getting the knowledge means, only these, using these 10 ways only you can get knowledge. Okay? Now, these 10 means are simplified into 3. Means the process, that means Pratyaksha, Anumana, Shabda and so and so. These 10 is simplified into 3. What are those 3? Pratyaksha, Anumana and Shabda. That means through the direct senses you can get the knowledge, through the inference you can get the knowledge, and through the hearing you can get knowledge. So the way Jiva Goswami handles this question is very systematically he handles actually. So then he says among these 3, that means anyone is getting the knowledge means he can get only these 3, because all other 7 are nothing but the different forms of these 3 only. All remaining 7 are the different forms of these 3 only. So that's why fundamentally you have only 3 means. So in these 3 means also Pratyaksha, Anumana and Shabda. So Pratyaksha and Anumana. What are the Pratyaksha and Anumana? Pratyaksha means direct senses you use to get the knowledge. That means knowledge is produced actually, not used. Knowledge is produced from the senses, where those senses are being influenced by the modes. So that's why Pratyaksha will go wrong, because of imperfection. And also that's 4 defects. Bhama, Pramāda, Karna, Patava, Vipralipsa. So because of these 4 defects, this Pratyaksha will be wrong. And on this Pratyaksha, the knowledge is dependent on the, Anumana depends upon Pratyaksha. This also goes wrong. Then how many are remaining? 3 are remaining. Okay? Sorry, 1 is remaining. So that is the Shabda. That means through the verbal cognition, through the, so that the sentence, if you get the knowledge, that is the right. But now here, which sentence I should accept? Like scientists also saying some sentences, and we can hear those sentences and we can get the knowledge. Okay? Scientists also giving the sentences, Veda also is giving the sentences. Now that means only, now we should decide Sabda Pramāṇa. So what is the right method in this Sabda Pramāṇa? Whether we should hear from the someone, a scientist, or whether we should hear from the Vedas. So he establishes there, so Brahma Pramādi Dosha Rahita Vachanatmakaha Shabdaha, indeed, Brahma Doshadi Rahitaha Vachanatmakaha Shabdaha. That means I accept Shabda means that one which is free from the 4 defects. For example, there is a snow in the Himalayas. This is a perfect sentence or not? Sun rises on the east. Sun rises in the east. Is it a perfect sentence or not? Yes, it is a perfect sentence. We all, so everyone agreed also. So, this kind of sentences, that means the sentences which is free from the 4 defects is always giving the right knowledge for us. No doubt in that. Then what is that sentence? From where we can get that sentence? He will put the question here actually. He will put this question, from where we can get such a sentences. So then he will give the various possibilities, like by using all our pratyakshas, that means our senses, that means we all come together and decide some sentences as the defectless. So can it work? It cannot work. Because in future some more people will come. In past also so many people came. So that's why we cannot accept that method. And can we, so So then, what is the way? That means, even one more thing, can we find such sentences which can give the entire knowledge of the whole universe? Is there any method like, is there any source like that? So now here main point is, before coming to the conclusion of the Vedas, he says, such a defectless sentences we want, how to get that? If we say, using our pratyaksha pramāṇa, we make those sentences, then that pratyaksha pramāṇa that means this sabda pramāṇa is dependent on this pratyaksha. Because of this dependency, this sabda is not independent. So that means independency of this sabda is gone. That means that swayam siddha it will not be. Then, and first of all, he gives the criteria also. Next, one more thing he says, we want such a defectless sentences which can give the entire knowledge of this whole universe. And we want the such a sentences which can, that means, give the knowledge for the everyone, not only few people, which can give the knowledge for the everyone, and which can deal the everything. And that means such a criteria he make a big criteria actually. So then that kind of sentences where we can get. So he asks, show me that. He asks, show me that. So then if you say, my scientist people, if scientists they say that we also produce those sentences, then he says that your group of scientists produce this kind of sentences, another group of scientists prepare some group of sentences, and these two groups making the difference, there is a difference is there, then whom I should accept? Then he says that unanimously, that means all the scholars, everyone in all the times, whatever is accepted, that we should take. So show me, is there any such a source? Then that means elimination process. He finally bring everyone to that. So we cannot find such a perfect sentences other than the Vedas in nowhere. So that is the elimination process we say. Then finally he establishes. So even if you don't want to accept Vedas, then he says that if you don't want to accept, then you show that. So which can give the knowledge for the everyone, which can give the knowledge about the everything. Vedas give the knowledge about the everything, because when Brahmaji created this whole universe, so he is getting the knowledge from the Vedas and he is creating. If there is a water, there is a sun, there is a Surya, there is Chandra, all these are created in every time, every Brahmaji is creating the same way. How they are creating the same way? Because there is one common book that is known as Vedas. That means here rivers should be there, here this many number of the oceans should be there, the trees should be there, this kind of varieties. All this knowledge from where he is getting? He is getting from the Vedas. So ultimately Vedas are the cause for this whole creation. That means Vedas are describing the everything in this universe. So this is the thing. That means Vedas can give the details about even it can correct the pratyaksha and anumana also. Even if we use in a wrong way of the pratyaksha and anumana, if we get the wrong knowledge, those two things are also corrected by whom? By the Vedas. So if you say, I am saying this, and if you don't want to accept as an opponent, if you don't want to accept this, then we ask, then show me that. Show me that. Then nobody, that means that is the way he deals actually. Elimination process only is the way. Otherwise you cannot establish actually. Everyone will say that finally, why I have to accept? If you say Lord gave, why I have to accept Lord? So Lord is also said by the Vedas. Then finally, and if you want to go know more about this, there is a BBT book also is there. Gopi Paradhan Prabhu's Tattva Sandarbha book is there. And in that Sarva Samvadini is there. And if you want to know in details about this, so please go through that. But I made a very little brief discussion. So if you want to know more, so please read that. Then you can answer any kind of, that means questions. Otherwise, in the college preaching also, we will be, we have this kind of tendencies. Students will be putting question, why I have to accept your Veda actually, finally says. So this is the way. So here, in purport we are seeing the mainly, this is the Guru Parampara. This knowledge is Vedas, and from that knowledge is transcending from the Guru Parampara. We have so many Guru Paramparas. Scientists also have the Guru Parampara. One scientist learning from the previous scientist, he is also Guru for him. So that Guru Parampara is there. But not only just Guru Parampara, we want the right source. The right source. How we can establish that? We are establishing through the elimination process. Just sit together and find what are the various means, then eliminate one by one, and even in the Shabda also, you eliminate the Shabda which is having the origin of the defective means, then finally, so you establish yours, and you also prove that is the giving the entire knowledge of the everything. So, and also we can show the proofs also for that. So then in that way, so Veda itself is a proof for the Veda. Nobody can establish that. And then that Veda is telling about the Lord. So that's why we should accept Lord also. We should accept also Lord. And Vedas are saying, I am also coming from Him only. So He is the origin for me. So that's why we should accept Him also as the Supreme Father. So this is the way, so generally dealt actually in the Shastras. So the same thing actually we can see in the Purport also. Prabhupada is, you all know this very known knowledge for all of you. So that's just I try to give you some new thing. How to establish the Shastra as the pramāṇa actually. This has to, before that you should also establish the weakness of the Pratyaksha and Anumana. That is also done very extensively by the Jiva Goswami, and then after that he establishes this. So that's why Prabhupada also said, after studying my books, if you are a serious student, you should read the previous Acharya's books also. In the first canto, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, first chapter, in the first sloka commentary, you can find. If you are really a serious student, so please read the previous Acharya's commentaries. And so that your faith will be strengthened. If when we ask such a questions and if you are not able to find answer, then there is a chances to shaken actually. If you are really realized soul, then thing is different. But unless if you don't get the direct perception, still in the struggling state, who didn't get the complete surrenderance, that means complete faith, then this kind of questions will shake faith, and it will, then immediately next minute our mind will take us to do the wrong things. Hey, these are all maybe right or wrong. Let us do this enjoyment. It will misguide you actually. Be careful. So that's why we should read the Shastras very deeply and understand, assimilate, and so that will be developing the faith actually. Ultimately, we need to get the complete faith on the Lord. That is the goal. That is the goal, that intermediate goal. Then final goal is prema actually. Beginning is complete surrenderance is the beginning of our devotion. Our pure devotion begins with the complete surrenderance. So then purification will happen. Then finally we will get the prema. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yeah. Yes.
You mentioned, I couldn't quite catch what you said about Gopi Purandan's book. What book is that?
Is there BBT Tattva-sandarbha? Tattva-sandarbha. Yes. It is available in the, it's called Desire Tree. We can download, yes. It's there.
You can download it where?
It's called Desire Tree. Okay. It's a BBT published book, but we can download freely also in the Desire Tree.
Tattva-sandarbha.
Yes, sir. You can get more explanation. I gave just a little thing actually. I cannot satisfy you, all of you. But I raised the question, so you can read that book. That's the reason actually. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. You mentioned how Shabda Pramāṇ becomes subservient to our own pratyaksha. Can you please elaborate on this point and how we would then counter that argument?
Shabda Pramāṇ is the king. Pratyaksha and Anuman are the servants.
You said how we accept Shabda Pramāṇ as our final authority, but then because we're practicing Sambandha Abhidaya and aspiring for Priyojana, our Sambandha and Abhidaya is generating experience, which is our Pratyaksha. So then how do we
So actually, if you want to get this sambandha, we should hear. Yes, first we should do here, and hearing from where we are hearing from the Shastra, and before that means, if you want to hear with full faith, then you should have faith on that Shastra also.
I think in your lecture, at some point you mentioned how the Shabda Pramāṇ becomes dependent on our sense perception.
Shabda Pramāṇa corrects the knowledge produced by the Pratyaksha.
Yes.
Like example, I will give you an example. There is one, his name is Devadatta, okay? He went to a magic show. So in that magic show, he saw his friend's head is chopped off and put in a plate. And by saying this, oh, my friend's head is there, cut off, and like that he's crying. It's the first time he went there, actually magic show. Then everyone said, hey, don't cry, this is a magic, it's not real. Then after that, one time he went to a field. He went to a field, there he saw that same friend's head there. And he's seeing, then after that he is thinking that, this is also magic. This is not real. He's saying it's not real. And then Akashvani is saying, that means Shabda. Hey, this is your friend's head. Like that he heard. That means when he saw first, that means through the eyes, at that time he didn't get the right knowledge. He is not thinking that it is his friend's head. He is thinking that it is illusion. It's illusion. That means at that time Pratyaksha Pramāṇa didn't produce right knowledge. But when he heard from the Akashvani, so this is your friend's head, then immediately that sentence produced the right knowledge and that removed the illusion created by the Pratyaksha. So this is the way Shabda is correcting the Pratyaksha. You got? No. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Prabhu, thank you for the very thought-provoking class.
Thank you. Prabhu.
So you raised questions on why we should not trust Shabda.
Yes.
And that discussion was very deep.
Yes.
So everybody gave answers. And ultimately you concluded in a very scholarly manner. But I would like to check my understanding with you. So the conclusion, according to in Prabhupada's language, is because of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, we believe in the Shastra, right?
Yeah. So that means because many are having a lot of sukriti from the previous lives because of their previous devotion. So that's why immediately, that means without any kutarka, we accept this. But people like kutarka like me, they will be there and who are not so easily surrender. And for them, we should give some medicine actually. That's Acharya.
I understand, but not everybody can be scholarly. So for like how Prabhupada says in his purports, because Guru, Sadhu and Shastra are saying, we accept the Shastra to be perfect.
Yes.
Because Arjuna is also saying, Asito Devalo Vyasa Swayam Chaiva Prahyushime. He is also referring to somebody and also is saying, Krishna, you also told. That is Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So this is my understanding. That is why we are supposed to believe in Vedas.
Yeah, that is for the...
Because the elimination which you said sounds very difficult for a commoner like me.
But actually that's why Prabhupada also said, if you are really serious in this subject matter, you read previous Acharya's books also after reading my books. That's why I said this sentence. Because generally people may think, hey, why you are saying the Acharya's books now? So we have already Prabhupada books. Then Prabhupada himself is saying, in the first chapter, in the first sloka on purport only he is writing this.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
That's why,
It's clear now. Thank you.
So that means we should try to follow his instructions as much as possible, because we are sincerely not following Prabhupada also actually, really truly speaking. We are trying to follow actually. So we'll try. Yes, Mataji.
So I'm in the same situation as Raja Vinod Prabhu. I would like to understand, for my own brain to comprehend. You said at one point that the Vedas themselves are the proof that Vedas are to be accepted.
Yes.
But that contradicts your very first statement where you said, why should we believe the Vedas? So
Yeah.
how you can reconcile these two?
That's why you should eliminate others, and so automatically that means Veda is proven. If you make Vedas are proved by someone else, then who will prove that someone else? Then someone. Then who will prove that someone? Then who will prove? Then there is unending chain. That will lead to the unending process. So that's why at one place we should accept someone should establish himself. That's why Swayam, that means self-evident. If someone is supreme pramāṇa, it should be self-evident. That's the minimum accepted point. So the Vedas, that's why, but how to convince that? We are not proving Vedas are by this something. We are just saying that, so others are not pramāṇa. You are trying to understand. We are not establishing Vedas, but we are doing another way. Nobody can be so pramāṇa actually. Then only one is remaining with you. That is not an elimination process. Then who is proving Veda? Veda itself proves himself. Whatever is said in that is proved by whom if you ask, then whom you want, because everyone is already eliminated. In this whole universe, whatever the means are there to get the knowledge, all are eliminated already. That is the way, so Śukadeva Gosvāmī establishes. If you want to know more deeply, so please go through that book. Yeah. Thank you very much. So time is already over. So after the class I can take. So sorry Prabhu actually. So Grandhara Srimad-Bhāgavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.